So I recently just watched season 1 of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Sorry, I just got off work and covered in paper. And I thought it'd be fun to just talk about, my brief thoughts on the series so far. It's very fascinating that it is more of a slice of life of the war going on rather than a continuing story like I initially thought it was going to be. The season tends to follow a whole slew of characters ranging from various Jedi to clones to criminals, all sorts of characters. So you're never really at a loss for variety whenever it comes to whatever you want to watch. Whether it's these big epic space battles, these awesome ground assaults, and of course, lightsaber duels. I recently just got back into Star Wars. I was never really that big of a fan. I watched the movies, obviously, but I had gotten around to playing the Star Wars TCG, Star Wars Unlimited, and I remembered that years ago I had actually started a vlog series where I talked about Star Wars, the Clone Wars, but I had never finished it. But now I'm excited about actually going through the show and giving my thoughts on it as I go season by season. But let me know what you guys think about the show below. So the other day I made a short about how I just finished season 1 of Star Wars, the Clone Wars, and I thought it was really good. Well, now I am only about 7 episodes into season 2, and I just had to make another short about it because, oh my god, is it so good. First off, I just want to say Cad Bane is now one of my favorite characters from the Star Wars mythos. His voice, his character design, his actions, all his character traits are just really, really, really good. I didn't get a chance to talk about it. His episode in season 1 was really good, but the next couple of episodes he had in season 2 were also really good. Next, I wanted to briefly talk about the series of episodes that took place on Geonosia, specifically landing at Point Rain, I believe. Holy shit, that episode was probably my favorite episode of the season so far. It was just non-stop, nuts to butts, awesome. And I also love getting to see the relationship blossom between Anakin and Padme. That shit warms my heart. I also want to recognize that I have not seen the movie yet. That is the pilot for this series, but I am going to watch it and I will make a short about it. So I just finished the Star Wars Clone Wars movie, which I probably should have already watched, but I had totally forgotten that it even existed. All in all, I'd say it was pretty good. It was kind of interesting getting to see the introduction of Ahsoka Tano, something I had been wondering about going into the show itself. I'm pretty satisfied with the fact that the initial animosity between Ahsoka and Anakin was something that was a very, very short story arc. It was over, it's done with, 30 minutes, we're good. Let's enjoy the rest of the movie. But yeah, without getting into, specifics, it's basically like watching a couple of different episodes of the TV show, which I guess you could say is kind of a complaint. It doesn't really feel like a movie per se, it just feels like a really long episode or series of episodes. But that also being said, the show and its episodes are pretty good, and therefore this movie is pretty good as well, but I guess pretty good isn't that great. But at the end of the day, I enjoyed myself, and I'm going to enjoy looking forward to more of the show. What's going on, guys? So I just officially finished season 2 of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and these are my general thoughts on what I saw. Going into this season, one of the things I thought of was, is it going to be anything like season 1? Are we going to see significant improvements in storyline, pacing, and action? And the answer to that question is yes. Season 2 gets into more fleshed out story arcs. The action is prolonged and much more well choreographed. At least as far as I noticed, everything in this season was improved upon on something that was already pretty good. Some of my favorite things from this season have to include the arc on Geonosis. That was just epic across the board. The Mandalore arc was really good. Learning a lot about Obi-Wan Kenobi's past romances really hit home, man. That was just such good writing. Of course, I just finished with the young Boba Fett arc. That was pretty cool. And of course, getting introduced to other characters like Plo Koon. That was pretty awesome. There's so much to talk about when it comes to season 2, but I'm going to just end it by saying it was really good, and I'm looking forward to season. What's going on, guys? It's time to talk about my thoughts on season 3 of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Oh my god, this season was quite a roller coaster. A lot of interesting things took place, one of which was a time skip, 3-year time skip. I was not prepared for. It just came through midway into the season. All of a sudden, we're at episode 10. Everything's fine, and then by the next episode, we're 3 years into the future with not really any kind of explanation on what happened. And while that's interesting to talk about, my favorite things from this season happen to include some of my favorite story arcs that we've gotten so far. The Force Wielder's family arc was something that I thought was really interesting, with the father, the daughter, the son, and how that all impacted Anakin as being the chosen one was really interesting. I loved the episodes going over the Separatists and how a lot of the Separatists are actually just normal people. They just don't agree with the Republic. And again, there's just too many great things to talk about when it comes to this season alone that I won't be able to get to it in just a short 60-second video. But those are my general thoughts, and I look forward to the next season. What's going on, guys? So I am back talking about season 4 of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. And And what a doozy this season has been. I want to start off by saying this season did not start very strong for me. Episodes 1 through 7, I believe, were bad. Not bad as in like just outright terrible, but just not up to the same level the show had shown previously. But then we immediately get into probably my favorite arc of the season, which was the General Krell arc. That arc was incredible. A rogue Jedi general going evil. What a twist. Not to mention we also had the Obi-Wan Kenobi going undercover arc with Cad Bane, one of my favorite characters from the show. And of course we end the season with the reveal that Darth Maul is still alive, and the fight between Savage Opress, Darth Maul, Asajj Ventress, and Obi-Wan was a highlight of the season. I like the way the show is going, and I like the way in which it shows so much depth to these characters. It makes me excited to continue this journey with Star Wars The Clone Wars, continuing with Season 5, which I will hopefully get through soon. So apparently this is George Lucas's favorite episode of Star Wars The Clone Wars, A Sunny Day in the Void. And I'll just be honest, I don't really get it. I mean, that's not entirely true. I do get it. It's about droids mostly, except for this guy, the Colonel. And it's basically about their journey through this desolate planet and just like different, stuff going on. But it's not really like that in-depth of a character analysis. It's not really that unique of a situation. We've seen characters stranded on planets before. And I really don't even feel like the main droids like R2-D2 really get the spotlight here. It's mostly this guy, Whack, who we've only been introduced to in the previous episode. Maybe he just meant that the series of episodes that pertain to this arc are his favorite in the whole series, which I could understand. But this one episode alone doesn't really have that satisfying of a conclusion, and really not a whole lot happens, which I guess is part of the point. I don't know, man. It's just fine. It's an okay episode. I've officially watched Season 5, Star Wars The Clone Wars, and I gotta tell you what? We got another doozy on our hands here. Season 5, from start to finish, was pretty much a whole banger. I loved everything having to do with Darth Maul and Savage Opress. Everything having to do with Obi-Wan. Not to mention all the stuff going on Mandalore with the Death Watch. The droid stuff was like, whatever, I don't really care. I loved the episodes having to do with the younglings. And of course, how could I forget all the stuff that happened with Ahsoka towards the end of the season? The trial, the escape, all this crazy stuff. Ventress coming into the mix. It was all crazy. I really liked that episode where Darth Sidious came into the mix and killed Savage Opress and beat the shit out of Darth Maul. I can't wait to see where that goes. All in all, I would say it was a very successful season. I can't believe it was the last season that aired on Cartoon Network. And then, eventually Netflix picked up the show. I'm really excited to see where that season goes, if it's any different, if it's any better, if it's along the same lines. I'm really excited to see where the show goes. Star Wars Clone Wars Season 6 is by far the shortest season that I've seen so far. And initially that caused some skepticism. I was worried that they weren't going to be able to deliver an engaging story that the rest of the series was able to deliver. I was initially upset that none of the plot threads that were started in Season 5 were finished in Season 6. There's no Ahsoka, there's no Darth Maul, none of that, and that caused some concern. But ultimately, we have here some of my favorite episodes of the series. Honestly, I think Season 6 is a banger. All the episodes that end the season that have to do with Yoda and his journey, peak. It also has my favorite Mace Windu episode, along with my only favorite Jar Jar Binks episode. Season 6 in general was just really good. And I actually kind of like that we're getting closer and closer to the end of the series, because there's a lot of things that are kind of tying together nicely overall as a whole. So yeah, the show just kind of keeps getting better and better, and I hope that Season 7 finishes on a high note. It's finally happened, and I have finally completed Star Wars The Clone Wars. Let's go ahead and get into it. Season 7, for the most part, especially in the latter half, just becomes the Ahsoka show. And I'm not really upset about that, because I do love Ahsoka. And as a season, just like with Season 6, I do think it's crafted well. The problem, though, is that this is the final season, and this season has to ultimately build and lead up to something. That something is the confrontation between Darth Maul, the Mandalorians, all that shit going on, and the execution of Order 66. It's all well and good and handled well. I guess I was just a little dissatisfied with the ending, because it is supposed to lead into Revenge of the Sith, and a little bit after that. Things I liked included the Bad Batch, like I already mentioned, all the stuff with Ahsoka, except maybe the Trace character. Last but not least, a lot of the fight choreography in that final 4-part arc was stellar. Season 7 gets a thumbs up. Can't wait to see more.
I'm just gonna go ahead and get into it. I thought Star Wars: The Clone Wars was fucking amazing. I've gone over this before, but one thing that I tried to do in the first place was watch the show many years ago, and I just couldn't really get into it. And I think it's because the first 8 episodes of the show are really hard to sit through. Now that I finally finished the show, I can gladly say that I regret not giving the show another chance when I had the option to. I think the thing for me that really carries the show are 2 things. One is the action. The choreography and a lot of the action set pieces are just incredible. And the second thing is that the characters are just so well defined, well thought out, and they're just so amazing. Characters get so much more depth than they would have ever gotten in just the movies themselves. Characters like Obi-Wan get a lot of much needed depth, Anakin gets a lot of much needed depth, and even additional characters that are new to the Star Wars mythos like Ahsoka are such a welcome addition because they're just such a well done character. Some of my favorite episodes include episodes on Geonosia, Mandalore, and all the stuff Mandalore has going on. I love everything having to do with the Force and the exploration of the Force. Everything with Yoda in Season 6 was incredible. I've always been a big believer that the thing that is the most interesting about Star Wars is the Jedi and the Force, and I really love seeing the exploration of those different concepts like in Season 5, Season 6 with Yoda's journey, all that stuff culminating in what I think is just the definitive Star Wars story. Yes, I do believe that Season 6 and Season 7 were somewhat rushed and not that well thought out, but I still enjoyed my time with them. I think it's safe to say that the show as a whole is really well done, despite not having that satisfying ending to me. But let me know what you guys think and if I should check out any of the other Star Wars shows.